Hello and welcome. This is 103.5 FM at independentradio.org. This is Keeping It 100 with Jose Candelario, and enough is enough about my chat or who I am. Will Cotrina is powering this thing today. Thank you, Will, for taking the time out to help us. Of course, we are on the New Haven Independent, but today we're powered by La Voz Radio. And let's get it going. My special guest today is none other than mogul, entrepreneur, community activist, and member, Mr. Gramen Wilson. Thank you, Gramen, for taking the time out.
You're welcome.
Now, I'm going to ask you to move up to the mic because we want to make sure we hear you loud and clear.
Got you.
There we go. Here we go.
All
So
right.
now we got to now we're going to conversate.
Let's talk.
Okay. You are a businessman, very accomplished businessman. Mr. Gramen Wilson right now is a proprietor or owner, I guess you could say, of 28 McDonald's. But he started off very, very small in the back of the kitchen. And that is a testament to what hard work and ethics can get you in life, which is kind of missing upon the youth in this day and age.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
what can I love to hearing your story, how you started and how you got here, because you said people laughed at you. Even your own mother, you said, laughed at you for working at McDonald's.
Oh, yes. You know, it's funny when I look back over my life, you know, when I was 16. Actually, I started out as a entrepreneur in a grocery store. My mother worked at the co-op right here on Elm Street many years ago. And I remember looking at her check. It was $91. And I said, I'm not working for anybody for $91. That was back then. I was actually 15. I couldn't get a job at the store.
Okay.
So I asked her, could I deliver groceries? I said, if I get customers, can I shop here, bring them their groceries, and bring their money back here and charge
So you
them?
were the original Instacart.
I'm the original Instacart.
Wow.
I'm the original Instacart. And she said, no one's going to buy that. I said, those ladies over there and those people, they're elderly. They need someone. They can't. Back then, it was like 5 houses on Howell Street where they, you know, they couldn't get up and down. So I said, well, let me try. So I went over there, made a little flyer, and I got like 5 bites. And I said, I'm going to start it off at $3. So I talked to the manager of the grocery store who allowed them to call in. My mom would take the order. I would come in after school and shop, ring it up, go to the house with the receipt, get the money, bring it back, and tag $3 on. It started really booming. Now think about it back then.
Yeah.
That was $3. I think minimum wage back then was $2 change. So I could deliver these groceries in 15 minutes and make $3. But now if I could deliver 5 in an hour, look at the money I'm making, right? 15 bucks. So it started to grow. And the manager of the co-op, Tom Lillo, who I tell you, he taught me, God rest his soul, he taught me a lot about business because he was very shrewd. However, he wasn't as sharp as I believe I am today because he came to me, he goes, I got a great idea. I'll make you a stock boy and we'll keep the delivery business and I'll pay you hourly. And then we'll take that money and give it back to the store, and now you have a check coming in instead of cash. And I was like, you mean I get a check? Because remember, I was getting $3. I was getting cash. But back then, to get a paycheck, oh, man, I get my first check.
Status.
And so I go home, and I start doing the math because he was going to give me 5 hours a week. And I did the math, and it was less.
In one day.
In one day. I said, no, that doesn't work. So he was giving me a hard time after that and told me that it was his business and he was going to take it. Long story short, I said, no problem. I quit. It was a Saturday morning. The work ethic comes from my mom, of course, and my dad, but my mom made me go back. She goes, you're not going to just quit. You have to give notice. Unlike today, where kids just walk off the job.
They just ghost you.
Right. Right. They just leave. You know, what happened to them? So I went back to work and had to apologize, which those that know me now understand that was a tall task for me to apologize to this guy. So I apologized to him and got back to work. Meanwhile, I went over to Kimberly Avenue McDonald's where my aunt worked. And I said, I need to get in here. And she's like, all right. So she connected me with John McKnight, who gave me a job. I quit the co-op and ended up in McDonald's. So that was the start of my career at McDonald's. Then I was making good money. I mean, because back then I was getting a lot of hours. McDonald's was popular.
Yeah,
so
always been.
I'm like, well, so I'm a big guy. What do they say?
Did you eat your share of the profits? No.
Yeah, I loved it then. I loved it. I did, because the quality was excellent because I was making it. But I'm just joking. But the funny thing is, I'm sitting there. I said, I don't know if I want to do this, like make hamburgers for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, you're a big guy. I don't know why people do this, and it's probably the worst thing to do to a kid. They walk up to me because I'm big. You play football? It's kind of insulting, right? But no, you probably be good at it. Just because I'm big don't make me good. And I said, all right, you know what? Everyone kept saying it because we play street ball. I'm big. Of course, they give me the ball, and no one's going to tackle me. Well, I went to Hill House, and I realized my career in football ends in one day.
Wow.
Because I got hit by, Mr. Zeke Carr hit me pretty hard. And let me see, there were a few. Donald and this big guy they call Poole. They hit me so hard I thought I got hit by a freight train. That was my last day playing football. And I went back to McDonald's, and I said, I'm going to make a career out of this. I quit football, and I said there was nobody. There was no African Americans. There were no Latinos. There was nobody in leadership. I was a kid. So I started inquiring, how do I get to be that guy? Mm-hmm. That time, the guy was the director. Quote, you're never going to beat it. You're black.
Wow.
So I was told. I said, wow, I'm never going to have his position because I'm black. So when he came by, I said, hey, how do I get your position? Go back in the grill area. I said, wow.
How did you break out of that? I mean, there's obstacles in the way of everyone, and that's the number one excuse, right? When you talk to a guy, the man. How did you outmaneuver the man then? And it's possible, obviously, because these kids, many people these days feel like it's impossible, that the man is controlling their destiny. But you, in your story, you're telling me that you have control over their destiny.
I realized at that point that he was just an employee. He didn't own the place. And how did he get there? What gets you to that status as a leader? What gets you to the highest position at the job? To be the best at it. And you do have your roadblocks as minorities because there are people that aren't as good. But if you really, really, really are undeniably the best, it's hard when it comes to money. People in business, racist or not, if you can, and I made this comment at 16 or 17ish. He might not like me because I'm black, but he'll love me if I'm green. So if I can make a lot of green. And John at the time was a wonderful store manager. He was under this guy. And, he saw something in me that I didn't see. Because I told him, I said, I don't know if I'm going to do this. Because if the people are like that, then why do I want to, do this type of work? So I went out looking. Like, nobody's paying, man. It's McDonald's back then, believe it or not. I had gotten an offer as a general manager at that time because now some years had passed, and it was $9,600 a year.
Wow. Everywhere
else was offering $8, $82, but nobody was at that number. And I'm like, well, why would I go backwards? It makes no sense to go backwards. So as I said, well, let me figure out how to maneuver around these people that are trying to block me. So what I did was whatever crappy location, whatever store that nobody wanted to go to, I'll go. Take me. I remember when I went to Ferry Street, I was like, wow, I got robbed my second week there. I was like, crazy. Right? I went to Fox and Boulevard. I got robbed. It was crazy. Downtown New Haven, when I started earlier on, I got robbed. But all those stores, they're challenging. The community is tough. because I don't think they understand that yes, they're not black owned, but they're black and Hispanic ran.
Mm-hmm.
Respect the one that's running it more so than the one that owns it.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere. Because that's where they go to work every day, and really, they may not have the title of ownership, and that was my mentality. I might not be the owner, but I'm going to run it like I'm the owner. And that's what made me really excel, where it was undeniable. And I left and went corporate.
You come across as a man who doesn't tolerate incompetencies in other people. And you are a person who seemed to be very astute. And like you said, well, earlier you said that it's hard for you to even apologize. How does a person like you listen? I mean, you seem to very knowledgeable. How did you listen? You contribute to your mentors. Did you listen to them at first, or did you take a lump and then was like, oh, they were right? Or are you the type of person that you listened and you learned really quick?
No, I always bucked against my mentors. And I always tell people, you want that person.
Mm-hmm.
You want that person that's going to buck against you.
Okay.
It's easy to take the guy that says, okay, boss, you're right, boss, but more so challenge the one that bucks, just like a horse,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They say you got to break it, and then it can be a superstar,
Mm-hmm.
right? You ever you see the getting on it and they break the buck,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's strong-willed, it's strong-minded, it's a winner, it can't lose. So, yeah, you break it just enough so you can tame it, but then it becomes successful. And I believe that's what happened with me, and I encourage those kind of people around me. I made a comment yesterday that I don't want anybody to kiss my butt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anyone to pour my coffee. I don't want anyone that's under me to give me an accolade.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Actually, I want you to challenge me. Because that's going to make you stronger as well as me. Iron sharpens iron. So I believe that the answer to your question is that you want the person that's going to buck the system. Most people are totally afraid of it, and I encourage it.
Okay. So you contribute a lot. You do acknowledge your mentors and how important they are in your life, and because a lot of the youth now seem to be like in this capitalistic manner, I don't need anyone. But the truth is, we all need some kind of guidance somewhere, and to seek these things out. I mean, I personally, you are one of my mentors now. You don't even know it.
Wow.
You don't even know
wow.
it. But I told myself a couple of years ago, I want to improve my personal circle. This is one of those self-improvement things where. So I realized that in my circle, I was one of the top guys. So I said, you know what? I want a circle where I'm the bottom of the barrel, and I'm around people like yourself that I can learn and watch and move forward in my personal life by just watching the movements that you're making. And I don't know if you can attest, or if you have a piece of advice for someone younger in seeking mentors. One is, you just said, one that challenges you. And are there other characteristics of a mentor that you really look for?
The person, I look for the heart of a person that wants to see the other person succeed without them trying to get a personal gain. Those are great mentors. There's not one person that I don't give accolades to that has, and it's a lot. I don't have one. I have many that I steal from everybody. I kind of sit here and I'm chuckling inside because what you have and what you know and the skill sets that you bring, I don't have. So what does that make you to me in that field? You're the guy that's the person I go to for that thing. And I think the kids, it's unfortunate because they don't look at that. They don't look at the value of the next person because they don't value themselves. Right? So when I look at people around me, I'm astonished that they would consider me a mentor, because I'm kind of a mutt. I can't say, well, John McKnight. I can't say Don McKnight. I can't say Dr. Kim Carmichael without saying it's all of them. It's can't say my wife, former friends, People I come encounter with, my enemies are like my best mentors, because they teach you what not to do. And you study them long enough, you get really good at what you want to do. I have a few that I wouldn't consider them enemies, more like
frenemies.
Yeah, because they smile in my face and shake my hand, but I keep them close. But there's so much more for me to learn, and I think that's the part that when you follow mentors, you just stay humble. Though you talk to anybody that knows me, they say you're not humble. But I'm very humble, right? Because I don't think they know what humility is. Humility is someone that doesn't believe they deserve what they've gotten. I don't think I deserve one thing I've been given. I consider myself blessed. But these kids, they're just so disconnected from that reality. So with mentorship, it's hard because I get a call. Could you come talk to the kids?
Yeah.
About what? Because they're going to get frustrated with me because it's hard to point out and not offend them. How
can you go and not floss?
Yeah.
and not be like, look what I got,
Yeah.
versus this is what, because they don't get it, that this is something that you can attain. This is attainable for you, and for some people, that thought is beyond
you
that.
say that, and it's so wild because I reflect back when I went to a school. I'll leave it nameless, but it's a New Haven school. The kids were probably around 14, 13, 14, and they weren't paying us attention. I watched the first guy go up. They ate him alive. And I'm like the third in line to go speak to these kids. And I'm like, they're not paying them. They're talking, they're texting. I'm like, and then another guy goes up, and these guys are, to me, I'm like, wow, their story is bigger than mine, right? And I said, I'm gonna catch their attention. So I bang my hand on the table, put my head down, and I'm like, will you pay attention? They yell out, and they looked at me. I'm nobody important. I work at McDonald's. And they're like, they started laughing. But I own a Corvette. I own a Jag. I own a Mercedes. I'm just going out all my cars. Matter of fact, I got 7 cars, one for every day of the week. I own my homes. I pay for everything. I'm debt free. I capture the room. Because I got things.
Yeah.
Right?
We're in a materialistic society.
Right? Yeah. But the kids now, how? You work at McDonald's.
How do you do that?
At McDonald's.
That is you're a business guy. You apply your business sense to everything you learn. You apply to the next thing you've done. How being a deacon in a church comes into this equation? Because you're a man of faith. You said that you're blessed. I can hear in your vernacular that you are a person of faith.
He just demoted me to deacon. I'm just messing with him.
Reverend.
No, actually, elder.
Elder.
I was ordained an elder. Really, I was ordained an elder by God because I was supposed to be, but I still say it was an accident. Because I'm like, how do I get in it? If you ask anyone that knows Gramen Wilson, they're going to say he, not now, but prior to 89, there's no way Gramen's in the church. There's just no way. But December 9th, 1989, I gave my life to the Lord and got really involved in church. Because my wife, because she thought I was a knucklehead, so she joined the church. And I'm like, she must be fooling around with somebody in there because she's always in church.
Oh.
So let me get in here and get her out of here. And I got caught up in there. And God touched me, and I started studying. I took classes at Harvard School of Seminary. I went through vigorous trainings under Dr. Kim Carmichael. I was ordained elder in Love Center Deliverance Ministry. I came into church December 9th, 1989 at Beulah Heights Church.
Okay.
That's where my wife and I went to church when we were younger, but she left.
Oh.
Because, again, I'll speak to the truth that I got into the church, but I started to slip away because, again, you can't bring somebody to something new and not teach them. I didn't know. It never was in my world. So I'm thinking, wow, it's a smorgasbord in here of, ill repute. I'll say that. But, the Bishop Brooks was it still is a wonderful man that, gave me good counsel. I left there, went to Love Center with my wife, studied, and the pastor there at the time saw something in me to speak to young kids. And I was able to really tap into my story, because I'm not ashamed to say that, I had heavy addiction that nobody knew about. So I hate when people discredit people that are openly.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You never know their story.
Yeah. I mean, I was sniffing more cocaine than the average man.
Wow.
And
all right, I don't know if there's more than William at 19, but we'll leave that one alone. He's from Peru.
Yeah, he might have did a little more than me. But, I tell everybody I didn't go to a program with steps.
We're about to go into something really deep. I want to remind everyone right now, you listen to 103.5 FM WNHH, Keeping It 100 with Jose Candelario, and I'm talking to Mr. Gramen Wilson, community activist, and we're going now through some of his challenges in life.
Yeah.
Challenges in life, because we all have distractions, and for you, that was one of them, one of your vices.
One of my vices.
One of many vices.
Yeah. You say keep it 100. That's what the show is. So you want to know how a person. That's why I say when you talk about humility and being honest with your situation. So, that whole part of my life is who I am. That's what made me the person that I am today. Realizing that when I went to this church in December 9th, '89, I stopped. I just stopped. I got baptized that day, and I was like, wow. I don't want it anymore. I literally never touched it again.
Wow.
So, people say you have to do this, you have to do that. Again, I realize now everybody has their avenue that they have to go down to get to where they need to go. And once I got that out of me, now I'm in the church. Everyone's coming to church. Why? Because they want help. A lot of them are drug addicted. So now I get to speak to them about my truth. And I was part of an Overcomers Outreach for a long time.
Wow.
I'm in the church, strong in the church. And I won't say Love Center, but the church as a whole. I'll say this without discrediting anybody, wasn't the destination for me.
Okay.
So I had to leave. Nothing anybody did to me just wasn't what I wanted.
At that time.
I needed more.
Okay.
I needed to be more involved with brothers and help them, because people look at me and I'm like, I'm not that guy. Look at him. He treats his wife great. No. I'm doing that now, and it's so hard.
But you grew into that.
Yeah.
It's not something that people are always enamored with the aura you put out now.
Yeah.
Thinking that this was you at 17.
Correct.
But you at one time wore hoodies and Timbs like everyone else.
I never wore Timbs. No offense to the brothers, I just never wore Timbs. I had a hoodie, but I didn't wear Timbs.
But you were young at once, and you did youthful things, and I think that people need to understand that there's always chance and time to turn it around.
Yeah.
That is, that time is in your favor, because tomorrow morning you can wake up and decide to do something totally different and live differently, but you are making conscious decisions. Was this like a choice that you wake up and say, no more cocaine?
I was tired of being looked at as a liar. I was tired of being looked at as a failure from my wife and people that talk behind my back, not the ones that smiled in my face. Because the ones that were around me were doing it with me.
No, yeah, of course.
But there were certain people, like I think my brother Harold was disgusted with me. And he hit me with the line, "You wasn't raised like that." And I was like, and yet I was still successful climbing the ranks of McDonald's.
Yeah.
Because I held on to that, right? That was easy for me, right? So, but it was going to crash and burn at some point, because I was just out there, but going through the church, it stopped. So when that stopped, I had a different zeal. I wanted to help people, right? I wanted to make people better than me. And I really believe at that point is where I started to learn to lead. And I realized how I wanted to lead. I didn't want to lead up front. I don't want to be the guy talking about me.
I just think that you're showing. I'm all about emotional intelligence personally. That's my biggest thing, EQ, and you are establishing a lot of those EQ paradigms that I believe a person should have. One is you worked on yourself first, right? And that's one of the first things. Then you fixed your relationship with your family, and then you started helping your community. I think that those are the three major steps in that evolution of a man, right?
Yes.
And so you went from money, power, respect, which you had. Right? Because at McDonald's, you had the money, you had the power, you had the respect, but then you made it about yourself, your family, and your community.
Yes. The community is, to me, when I look at our community, I'm just disgusted at the lack of genuineness to make it better.
Oh, wow. When I'm driving down Wheeling, people throwing out bags of Popeyes out their windows. You know, I can see how much they love their city and in turn love themselves.
I love my city, but you see that, right?
Yeah, you see that. So I can see that. You're a part of an organization here in this town now. You're a Mason. You're proud to be a Mason. Proudly to be a Mason. And you hold a great office within the organization.
Some might say.
How, there's myths about the Masonic Lodge, right?
Yes.
Prince Hall Masonry, and there's truths.
Yes.
Let's focus on the truths.
Yes, there are truths.
Make men better. What does that mean to you? Make good men better.
I was told that when I came in. Nothing makes men better. Nothing but men. Men make themselves better. So if you go to this organization, it's going to make you better. No, it's what you put in it. It's the law of reciprocity. Whatever you sow, you'll reap. So you go to any organization, Masonry, the church, Sigmas, Qs, Delta, whatever organization. It's amazing how people say, well, that organization isn't about anything, and they're a part of it. Well, what are you doing to contribute? Because if it's not doing anything and you're a part of it means you're not doing anything. So I'm excited about Masonry. I think that Masonry has been quiet for a long time. And as the worshipful master of Widow's Son Lodge, number one, I'm going to work with the team of people I have to make it better. Because again, like I said a little earlier, I had to learn how to lead. And a good leader leads from behind. So everyone that's going to be working with me will always be in the forefront, and I will be pushing their ideas, their excitements, whatever they bring to the party. Now that makes the organization better, right?
Yeah, because they're energized.
Yes.
And then when they contribute at that personal level and they feel they're given a piece of that leadership role, of course, they're invigorated. They want to stay, they want to contribute, and they want to help push on.
Yeah, and I do have. It's funny because there are so many people out here in Connecticut and surrounding boroughs, I say, that have issues and make negative comments, and I laugh. Bible says, "Speak ye that what ye know." How do you know? People talk about Masonry. Well, how do you know if you're not a member?
Yeah.
So you're only going by hearsay, and you know what they say when you listen and you assume. So we're not going to listen to people. Or you shouldn't listen to people. If you want to know about something that's great, Talk to the person that's excited about it.
Ask somebody.
Yeah.
If you want to know something, ask somebody.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the first rules is ask somebody if you really want to know, if you want to get an understanding. Whittleson Lumber number 1, we have a beautiful, that's a beautiful building, 106 Golf Street. Can you share a little bit about that building and what that building itself means to this community?
And please come by 106 Golf Street whenever you have an opportunity. It's an amazing building. It is the first school for Negro children, and I say Negro because that's what they called us back then, but the first school for colored kids. And it's so historical to be in that building at night when nobody's in there and just sit and think about our African American kids had to crawl underground.
For those who don't know, the 106 Golf Street, the Masonic Lodge that we are right now, is connected via tunnels
to Varick. AME Church, yes.
AME Church on Dixwell Avenue, right?
Yes.
And you can.
So we have 2 tunnel ports on each side of the building that are still there. I don't know how a guy my size got an education because there was no way I would fit in that hole. But the hole's still there. The tunnel's still there. And to think about the part that is amazing to me, we had some scientists come one day to the lodge to see it. And African-American scientists. And they were looking, and one of them started to cry. And I'm like, wow, what are they crying for? And then he looked up and said, they crawled through this to get an education, but we can't get our kids to get up out of their beds to get in their Lexus that we drive to bring them to school. Think about that. And if they got caught, they were beaten.
Okay, yeah, but in story, for those who don't know, at one time it was illegal for a man of color to read and write.
Correct.
And so, in order for them to get their education in this time, they would have to crawl through a small space, but more like a quarter of a mile almost. It's pretty far.
Oh, yeah, it's far.
It's far.
In the dark.
In the dark. To get educated on a Sunday afternoon.
And they wanted to. Right? So when we look at our kids today, and again, I've got 4 children, so I get it. I'm not sitting there saying mine are wonderful, but
they're talented. Yeah, that's for sure.
They are talented. That I'll give them. But you know, it's to sit there and see that building, and to come in. We have a museum in there, so when you get a chance, I'm sure the information will be put up. Come down and we'll take you on a tour. Instead of listening to what someone says about it, come in and find out about it yourselves. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what we're doing there. You know, and I think that as we move forward and those that are coming behind me, we're just going to keep growing and growing and growing and getting it out there for people to know that we should be proud of what we have.
Yeah.
And guess what? We own it. We own it. So we're not renting it. We own it.
We own that. That's a beautiful building. The Whittleson Lodge number 1, 106 Golf Street. If you have a chance, be coming by. You're also part of the Shrine. Shriners, I guess, is another organization. You're I don't know. I fail to see one organization in this town outside of the Sigmas. I think that's the only thing you're not.
Yeah, because I'm debating, Sigma Q. No, I'm good.
But you're part of the Shrine, and the Shrine is having an event. They're having an event, an all-white party.
Yes.
And you're part of the Shrine. You're part of this event. All-white party is at 230 Ashman Street, which I really like. That the fact that that the Shrine holds events in the community.
In the community.
Yes, I mean, sir. You can't get no more Ville than 230. Well, I guess Shelton Ave, but Shelton and Reed, but Ashman Street right there. You have an all-white party. You have a great lineup coming on July 23rd.
Yes.
And you could talk a little bit about that lineup.
I'm excited.
July 23rd. What time did July? Because I keep saying July 23rd, but what time are we starting?
So it's outside. So someone corrected me. So I can't say doors open.
Oh,
Gates
open.
Gates open. So I said to them, "This is the Gramen that all love. Well, what's a gate? Isn't it a door?" Okay, whatever. But I'm super excited about this event. And I'm going to talk to you guys. This event is morphed into this big concert / all white party where I would say you can come and just have a peaceful groove. The doors open up at 5. The concert starts at 7. Free beverages.
It's BYOB, right?
It's BYOB. But we do have some wine there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Beer and wine. Bring a seat or come in early. There'll be some seating, but if not, bring a pop-up chair.
Yeah, bring it. Yeah.
It's grown and sexy for those that are coming. And it's in the community, and there's no violence.
This is probably the most stress-free event that I've ever been to. And I went to the all-black party that took place a couple of months ago, and it was an experience for me personally. To see, what was it, like 300?
Over 300 at the black party. Yeah, almost 400.
300 at the black party. And we're talking about African Americans only. I mean, for not one fight to break out, for not one argument.
Not an argument.
It was
nothing but love.
Nothing but love. It was a sight to be seen and an experience that all people of color should ever always have, to see a good 300 or 400 people get together and just start line dancing.
Yeah, man.
They're having a good old time.
Yeah,
they're sharing. They're catching up. And New Haven is only but so big.
It's a reunion.
It's a reunion.
It's a reunion, and we invite all. Tickets are $35 up until Wednesday and $40 at the gate. I will say this: don't miss it. To your point. There's been Love Connections. Arabic Temple number 40 Shrine is branded across the U.S. Mm-hmm. If you don't know Big 40, then you have not had an experience. It's nothing but love. We exude love. As I told someone the other day, love's a conversation. Mm-hmm. And that's what you'll have when you come down. We've got our DJ Mo and Marvelous Diamond D on the turntables. We've got Manny James, our very own Manny James.
Yep.
And
the
Rasan
Jungle Hillside.
Langley. I want to say this.
Langley Project.
Yes, I want to say this, that we have to respect our artists in this city. My son's going to be there with a friend of his, Ali, who was on The Four. My son was on The Voice. He signed to Clive Davis. But it took him to leave our city to get noticed.
Well, I call it the Jesus effect.
Yes.
Yeah. He had to leave his hometown.
Wasn't honored.
To go make it big.
Yeah.
And then when he came back, they were like, oh, we remember.
And even now, they and again, we're not mad.
No.
We're not mad. We thank you because it drove him to be where he is.
New Haven has a way of toughening up the artists.
Yeah.
They're nationally stage ready when they leave New Haven because they work so hard at trying to get attention here.
Yeah. I've supported Rasan and Manny from day one. And I said, I wish those guys had somebody like myself when they were young. Because there's a lot of obstacles you stomach. And they're doing well now. I mean, trust me, they're phenomenal talent. But when you grab them when they're young, man, where them guys could have been out of here. Right?
But again, it's hard to find individuals that want to mentor without any self-interest.
Yeah.
And anytime that you do find someone that's willing to help, it's because
they want to get paid. They want to get paid. But these brothers right here,
they are talented.
Your interview you did with Avery, and you hit it right on the head. We got 4 headliners. Now, it doesn't matter who goes first, who goes second, who goes third.
It doesn't.
Because they're all beasts within their own.
They all headline their own shows.
Yes,
I mean, they all headline their own shows.
So I'm excited because this is the musical part. The concert is an addition. Mm-hmm. So think about that. Where are you going to go? Free beer and wine, free music, dancing, hanging out. right, with your friends, and a concert for that price.
And it's a networking event. I mean, this is
Yes,
a premier networking event, and I think that's what we're trying to allude to when we're saying we're getting together and we're having a good time. There is the who's who.
Everybody's going to be there.
The who's who of Southern Connecticut.
Yeah.
is going to be there.
We've got quite a few.
And we also got people coming in from out of town.
Yes,
so
sir.
it is going to be peaceful, calm. Everyone's going to be dressed to the T. I got my all white linen is that linen that's that off white. So I won't be looking at
Your
that,
Gucci slides.
You already know. No, I don't got them. I don't got Gucci slide budget.
Dress your best, because I'm telling you, they're going to be out there.
The slingshots will be out there.
The slingshots, a couple of motorcycles, a few other things.
Yep.
Got a few other surprises.
Everyone just shows off their toys a little bit.
Yeah. We got vendors out there.
They got cigars. A lot of cigars. You're into cigar smoking.
Robert Fulton, our very own Robert Fulton with his own cigar brand. Come support that brother, right? We are doing what we are supposed to do. There's only one artist who's not from here. It's only because she's a friend of my son's and she's coming with him, and she's super talented and she's looking out for me, so she's coming down. That's Allie. But everybody else is from here. All the vendors are from here. We're putting money back into our community because that's what it's all about. But you come and you'll see that these people that we have, they're staples within themselves. Once you get there, you're going to see so many people.
There's going to be a lot of brands on top of brand, and self brands, other brands. It's a great but no one goes there with the intention of cross branding or with the intention of trying to get a deal. It is just straight up networking and talking, and you know this guy and this guy knows that. And I think that is one of the biggest things I've learned about being a part of the craft.
Yeah.
And taking part of this is how easy it is for when you have that confidence in each other, how easy it is to introduce one person to the next.
Well, because we're brothers. See, we throw that out there loosely, but we are brothers. And as you know, with your comedy, right, we're there, right? And you're funny, right? If you weren't, we tell you, because we're your brother. Like Jose, you're not funny, but you're funny. So as we move forward with our brothers, we come out, we enjoy each other. So think about it. The brother you don't like, I've got several, right? But I still enjoy them. We're together, but we argue all the time because we're brothers. My biological ones. Same thing with the order. And you'll see that it's not just the Shriners, but it's the Masons, it's the Daughters, it's the Eastern Stars. We're going to have, you're going to have the Sigmas out there. You're going to have some of the Qs out there. All the fraternities will be out there that are going to...
And a lot of HBCU. A load of HBCU folk. Educated.
Yeah. And again, you talk about networking, because you're going to see people, meet people. And to your point, it's never a struggle. Hey, do you know so-and-so? Because you people put the connections together. I mean, I do a lot of things outside of McDonald's, and people, they come and they're like, a lot of my connections came through masonry. When I got into masonry now, it's 9 years. And like I said, I met so many talented brothers, and a lot of my friends, like you talk about your circle, my circle's small, but now it's, I mean, my wife was laughing the other day. She goes, you guys really, really like each other. I mean, is there something wrong with that? Yeah, we like each other. And, we laugh. You're talking about, rib hurting laughter.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I've been around that several times.
Yeah.
The camaraderie and fellowshipping that's taken place is commendable. I, too, had a circle of friends of zero coming out of COVID. I went into like that reclusive state during COVID.
A lot of people.
Everyone did. But I came out of COVID with zero. And then I slowly started building back up. And I'm so proud to be a Mason. It's one of the greatest things that's happened in my life. It's introduced me to individuals such as yourself. It gave me an opportunity to meet even more and more people. Because without Gibbs, I wouldn't have met so and so. If it wasn't for Snipes, I wouldn't have met Klein Pete. You know what I'm saying? So if it wasn't for the brothers I know, I can see how I wouldn't have met these other people who are now in my life. So
well, it's funny, you, my friend, I seen you way before you became a Mason, because you were at the parties or you were at events. And I would always say, who's the guy with the camera? What's oh, that's Jose. I said, okay, but he's always here, right? And I encourage anybody to, wherever we are, just come hang out.
Yeah.
We open the door for anybody.
And that's one of the things that I did. I came and hung out. I came and investigated, did my own investigation, and wanted to make sure that I wanted to be a part of this. And then when I saw the level of fellowshipping, I was like, you know what? I do want to take part in this, and it has really changed me.
That's good, man. Congrats to you for accepting it, because that's the part. So now, when your first question was, masonry makes men better. No. You made masonry better, and in turn, it made you better. So it's quid pro quo. It's what you do for it, it does for you. So that's what masonry does. And most of the people you speak to will tell you the same. They ask that question. So what is, they say masonry makes men better. You really answer it yourself, because that's what happened to me. I actually was joined because I missed fellowship with brothers. And then, there's obstacles in everything.
Of course.
But when you get to the root cause of it and you think about, I was counting the other day, I mean, we have 28 stores, so as I'm riding around, I'm thinking about all the people that I have encountered. It's like, it's over 100 and some odd people in this city that are Masons. And then across, as you know, when you travel to the other jurisdictions and you get to see these people and you get to meet them, and it's like you've been with them all your life.
It's amazing. It's amazing to go to Richmond, and of course, like any organ, you still got to prove your worth. You got to be consistently yourself. Come to the table with no BS. You got to be just who you are. Be present. And, of course, that leads to acceptance. But if you're going to come and be fake and, of course, in any organization, anywhere you go, if you're not keeping it real, keeping it 100, no one's going to let you in anyway into any circle.
Great title of your podcast, Keeping It 100, because most people don't. And that's where I'll say, that's what I want everyone to say from now on. Instead of those things you say about me, Gramen keeps it 100. Instead of Gramen's can't curse on this, right?
Can't curse on the radio. Please do not curse.
All right. So, and I tell them I affectionately embrace that title, if that's what you want to call me. But I love everybody, man. I want everyone to be better.
All right, so William has a question for you before we go. William,
okay.
We're mindful here. This is Keeping It 100, of course, on 103.5 FM WNHH, but we're powered by La Voz Hispana, and one of our biggest communities is the immigration community. And he assumed, because you run Old McDonald's, that you deal a lot with the immigrant community as hiring. But what percentage of the population makes up your workforce?
Wow. The Hispanic population we wouldn't survive without them in our organization. We see, we're a little different. Our organization goes from...
And we're talking about McDonald's, to be specific.
Just McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Our McDonald's goes from New Haven to Unionville, Connecticut, all the way up to Black Rock Turnpike, all the way up to...
New Britain area, New Britain over there.
Gales Ferry.
Okay.
Uncasville area.
Uncasville.
So our franchises are across Connecticut. So there are a lot of operators there in pockets. Me as a COO of the organization have a responsibility to make sure it runs right. I look at the Hispanic population, and I made a comment that, wow, what would we do and where would we be? So out of the 28 stores, right? You ready for this dynamic number? 26 of them are Hispanic, the head managers.
26 out of 28 are Hispanic head managers.
Yeah.
Oíste, Cotrín.
Yeah.
That's good. Is that good enough for you, Cotrín? That's good enough for you?
And one of my most, I hope they don't see this, Osiris Manrique is one of our success stories. Came over here to this country, was in our Turnpike store up in Fairfield making pizza because we used to have the pizza venue.
The pizza, yep.
Couldn't speak any English, a lick. And I used to laugh because she would try to talk. And at that time, I wasn't. I was a consultant for the corporation, and she was working in that store.
Oh.
So she became a swing manager, and I was now the training consultant for the corporation. And I was told to go assist Roger Facey and his staff. Because they didn't understand English. What am I going to do?
You look Hispanic, that's about it.
They thought I was Hispanic, so I guess. But however, what was funny was I learned how to help because people don't understand. Hispanic people that don't speak English are not dumb. They're not stupid. They're more intelligent than some. They don't know our language. Take me and sit me in the middle of Mexico or Puerto Rico. And what happens to me? Right? So that's how I realized that. So I said, well, let me get an interpreter to work with me and them. And that's what I did for the organization. And we watched Osiris grow. Subsequently, she's still working for us. And she was a store manager. Like she said, I said, why don't you be, Gramen, I'm nervous sometimes.
So, but you advised her to get her own place.
No, we kept working with her.
Okay, working with her, okay.
Right, so she became a general manager.
General manager.
But she was still timid because of the language. She goes, Gramen, or she wouldn't write. I said, just write it. Who cares? Half of us can't write or spell anyway. So we know what you mean. I said, you send a text, I know what you mean. And she started doing that, and I was like, you got to start speaking up. Now, we had this young lady, Sarah Amato, who worked for us, who we sold 3 stores to. She's on her own now.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
Osiris was always kind of in the shadow of Sarah. Sarah was our strongest. So when Sarah left, I went and said to Osiris, you're the new Sarah. I need you.
Wow. And
when I tell you this woman makes us tons of money, she runs 6 locations. It's probably now over, let me see, 16, 17 million, maybe? 17
million. So this is...
No, maybe 20, 22 million of our company she runs.
Jeez.
Right? She's a homeowner.
Homeowner, look at that.
Yeah.
And this is an immigrant that came here
yes, sir.
From nothing. Started... You followed the path, took the tutelage, and now grew into manager of
the best supervisor we have right now.
The best supervisor you have
right now.
There you go. So I thank you for your time. We've been here an hour, right? Will, we've been here an hour.
Okay.
You're listening to Keeping It 100 with Jose Candelario, 103.5 FM, WNHH, and that is the great Gramen Wilson that you have been listening to for the past hour. So your parting shots, Mr. Gramen, the floor is yours.
I would say to everybody that, that look at me or gives me accolades for being successful, I'm your average middle-of-the-run guy. You can achieve anything you want as long as you and this sounds corny and cliche, but it's a fact. Whatever you want, stay consistent, and you'll achieve it. Never let anybody put an obstacle in your way. Be biblically astute, because if a mountain is there, the Bible says you can remove it. If a weapon comes in front of you, the Bible says it'll form and not prosper. So understand that we are spiritual beings. And if you understand the Bible, I'm not saying be religious and run the church, but understand the Bible, which is the manuscript of success, you'll win every time.
Well, and the church says amen. This is Keeping It 100 with Jose Candelario, WNHH 103.5 FM. Thank you, William, for taking the time out to record this with us. You didn't have to. Mr. Wilson, thank you very much for coming by. Until next time, we're going to be keeping it 100.